when you give talks to parents, especially father, what kind of advice you would give them? Very, very broad, but some general thoughts on that.
Right, sure. First of all, thanks for having me again. Very glad to be able to share a bit more. Well, first of all, parenting is not necessarily the church. Obviously, the church gave me the opportunity to platform to talk about it. But I think parenting or fathering is something that is universally cut across all faiths and all kind of backgrounds, nationalities and cultures even. So that's an interesting topic, because as you start to do research, you realize everybody share the same concern, and it's not so much about fathering but the problem of fatherlessness. I think we live in a world where certain culture takes more attention to the fathering or the family, but certain culture are more focused on economic prosperity and things like that. But the crux of the whole thing, the core of this whole, to me, is really how a father sees himself and his role in the family, and how important it is to them with respect to what you want to achieve in life. And so this is where I kind of come in and say, look, your role as a father is important, because a lack of that is actually quite devastating, and socially speaking, there are statistics to show very devastating results, or rather very devastating outcome as a result of fatherlessness.
I would like to respond to that by saying, in our culture, parenting role often you refer to it as mother's role. Father is the one that bring back the bacon.
Right.
And look at you and I and a lot of Asian, they grow up to be very successful with that very traditional model.
Yes.
So what you're doing is you're challenging that norm, saying that, hey, fathers play a role too.
Yes.
Please defend your thesis.
Oh yeah, so it's not difficult in my view, because if you see bringing out children and running the family as a teamwork, because traditionally the father will go and work. I think the father's influence in upbringing the children is important, because there's a masculine value in which a father can bring in, whereas the mother tend to be a bit more maternal in its nature, more feminine. So a combination of it is actually good in terms of bringing up a child's balance towards male and female role in society, in the family.
Would having you have 3 boys and I have 2 girls, yeah. So would having in your family, having a father as a pivotal role in influence is important, because they're all boys. If you have 2 girls, would it have been quite different? Do you still need to be as involved?
Well, yes, the answer is yes, but maybe it's different. I mean, boys will be doing boys things like going out, and taking
which I miss.
the rougher things in life, if you like. But for girls, I think there's different role. I think in a sense that if you have girls, the mother's role becomes even more important, but the dad's role is just as important in terms of things like giving them strong identity. If a child is loved from young, whether it's boy or girl, will have a stronger sense of identity, instead that they are loved. They are not seeking out for other source of love. The presence of a father will assure that the presence of the male figure in her life, that they do not need to go out and seek other male figures. I think there's a innate sense, instinctive sense in all people to have a male and female, because you're birthed out of a man and a woman.
Right.
And so that would be an instinctive thing that a person will look out for. So of course, if the presence of a mom, the moms become more dominant, but if there's both of them, there'll be good balance. I said the men tend to display more masculinity and women more feminism and femininity, I should say, and the combination of it is really good.
So what I'm reading into it is, if I am to trace the behavior of, let's say, a woman who is a lot more socially needy, sluttiness, oftentimes they lack love from the father.
Well, there seem to be evidence showing that, for example, statistically speaking, a lot of girls that has involved with
Prostitution or
well, prostitution is a very extreme, but simple things like early pregnancy, you know, unplanned pregnancy,
Okay.
things like even poor behaviors, and and as you said, slutty behavior, is all trying to gain attention. And of course, unwanted pregnancy is a result of that desire to get attention. So if there's a father who's there at home who give them the assurance that, look, you are beautiful, I love you, you know, you have someone who loves you, you don't have to seek anywhere else, at least for a period of time, you know, when they are young, until such time when they grow up and have their own stronger identity and a strong sense of ability to sustain themselves, then of course they will go out and find their life partner. But until that point, a father plays a role to assure her that, you know, she's precious, she's someone who is loved, that she doesn't need to just, you know, them unduly relationship with people that may not necessarily care about them but just want to take advantage of them.
So on a broader sense, what I'm also hearing is, you know, kids that grow up from a broken family have a tendency to be less successful.
Well, not necessarily.
Because of you know, the imbalance of love, you know, that is, you know, inadequate when they grow up.
Yeah. Well,
higher tendency.
Well, you touch a very interesting point, because society today have learned to adapt to this type of situation. And unfortunately, again, you know, if you look at statistics, home fatherlessness has caused you know, subsequent impact such as homelessness, teen pregnancy, you know, single parenting, parenthood, or even incarceration in the very worst case. So there are a lot of ill effects of it. But that is on the very negative side. And then those who manage to overcome it may become also extremely strong, a lot more resilient, to a point where it's difficult for them to balance between a bit more, you know, to give away a bit of themselves rather than just to protect, because a lot of them who has that will tend to be very resilient and over resilient probably.
So the economic sense of success is not necessarily you know, a good measurement of, you know, one's outcome in life.
Well,
so you can be from a broken family and be extremely resilient, and as a result be extremely successful. Doesn't mean that you are balanced or truly, you know, whole rounded happy.
Well, I think resilience come in is when you're I suppose challenged in your life, and how you solve the problem and how you balance it out, whether is it through working out with friends, through working out with the people in a very amicable way, or it's just forcing it through, you know, using legal means and whatever. So how one's react to the challenges in life would determine whether, you know, how they probably have been brought up, and then how they react to the circumstances. And as I said, if a person growing up with a father and mother with them, you know, throughout their growing up life, would probably learn to balance between the masculine and feminine side of people, and how to manage it, because a father tends to take risks, a mother tends to be more protective. So a little bit of too much of each is that you become a very risky person, or you become someone who's so overprotective that you sometimes store up things that would otherwise be, you know, possible in your life. So I would think that this is why I always advocate having both parents, and definitely the involvement of father more, because unfortunately, historically speaking, fathers has been the one that's been abdicating their responsibility from home, using work as a reason for not doing that.
You choose your word very carefully, not an excuse.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at Japanese family.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's extreme, isn't it?
I think in Japan, I've spoken to people who really feels that fathering is something that is necessary for them to try and restore some of the cultural inadequacy and
so
the
they're having
lifestyle.
this awareness.
Or certain group, I would say,
Right.
you know, recently met people from Japan who say that they want to bring fathering movement to Japan, and they're looking at Singapore's Dads for Life as a model and see whether that is something they can consider